We are back with more Mountain Connections. I'm very excited to be speaking with local author Cami Murdock Jensen. She wrote First Earth. This is the first book of the Arch Mage series, and she's just coming out with Second Earth, which is the second book. She's here today with her daughter Rachael. Thanks so much for joining us.
Happy to be here. We love the opportunity to chat with you.
Absolutely, and congratulations on this book. Very excited that it's coming out. Tell me a little bit about both books and how they relate.
This is about Agnes Ann Cavanaugh. She's the only wizard to be born on our planet since magic was banned thousands of years ago. It's a contemporary fantasy, which means it relates to children or teens or even adults in our time, but it still has that wonderful fantasy feel where she goes to a different world and meets new people and magic and magical creatures and crazy situations that she gets herself into. So it's really a fun read.
So the second book, where does it pick up and what's a bit of the storyline without giving too much away?
Of course, we don't want any spoilers.
No spoilers.
So Agnes has just saved First Earth and many, many other planets in the process. And now she is Archmage of her own planet. Since she's the only wizard on her planet, she's really the only option to be in charge of the magical problems. And she thinks since magic was banned thousands of years ago, there aren't going to be any magical problems. Well, she's wrong. As she's learning more about her magic, she and Prince Timnon from First Earth, who's teaching her, accidentally land themselves in the middle of an earthquake. They keep the death toll to a minimum, but then Timnon reveals to her that earthquakes are not natural, and no other planet has them. So, as Archmage of the planet, it's up to her to figure out what is causing earthquakes.
So Agnes really learned in the first book how to accept herself, how to use her gifts, really how to make the most of who she is. And now in this book, she's got some things happening, some big events, big trials. She needs help. And I just can't help to see all of the parallels that happen in your books with young adults today. And in fact, this is based on Rachael, your daughter's experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about that, what you experienced and how that's inspired these books.
Well, when this book was in the early stages of development, I was going through some chronic illness. I was so sick I couldn't even attend school. I was just kind of stuck in my bed all day, and it's really hard to be positive in that kind of situation. And so to make me feel better, Mom would brainstorm with me ideas about this book, and it was really cool because we got to put this story together for each other, and it was really good.
I love how you made the best out of a really difficult, a really hard situation. I can imagine as a parent, it must have been very, very concerning not knowing what was happening. And I love that you worked together and really started building this story. What are some themes that came out of that experience with Rachael that you see coming up in these books?
Well, a big one is to accept and love who you are. So instead of focusing on what you can't do, focus on what you can do and what you are and what abilities you have. When Agnes was born, Rachael hadn't had a diagnosis yet. We didn't know what was wrong with her, even though we'd been to many, many doctors, and no one could give us a very definitive explanation. And so I just made Agnes the survivor of an explosion with a scarred face for all of those kids that have outward signs of illness. But she also had neuropathy pain for all of those kids that have inside signs of illness, to kind of cover everyone. And she learned that instead of focusing on everything that was wrong, in the first book she just loathed herself because of her scars and how she looked, and she hated to meet new people. But going through the experiences of First Earth and kind of being put in a place where she could help and where she had influence, she grew beyond that self-loathing. And in Second Earth, she not only accepts herself, but she learns how to push past her own limits. So yes, she has neuropathy pain. So what? She can still get up, she can still work, she can still push through the pain. She can still grow beyond who she is. And that is exactly what happened to Rachael.
Now, Rachael, you had to overcome so many hard things, and that's common similarity with you and with Agnes. What are some other similarities within character development and traits between the two of you?
They're both introverts.
We are both introverts. I think that Agnes's reactions to these situations that she finds herself in are very accurate to me. You know, very sassy and sarcastic sometimes, but also a little unsure of herself. But when Agnes is faced with these challenges, she uses the people around her to motivate her to push past that and come up with new solutions, and I think that definitely relates to me, because I know that my mom helped me a lot during that time and gave me motivation to work hard to come back to some form of normalcy.
Rachael is very, very creative in how she gets around things and how to accomplish tasks that she sets for herself, and I think that courage and that creativity is also something that Agnes displays.
Well, and I think that having that empathy and that understanding that many young adults, many teenagers, many kids have really hard times and really difficult things that they have to deal with. Are you finding that this is really resonating with your readers?
So many people. I've got very, very high ratings, which I'm really proud of. And one of the biggest themes that people love about these books is the character development. They really feel a connection to Agnes as she grows and goes through all of these fun predicaments. They also like the action, they love the magical creatures, they love the magic, and it just kind of all ties together around this character that you become very emotionally attached to.
And one of the big themes in Second Earth, I don't want to give too much away once again, spoiler-free zone, but Agnes really has to deal with a big problem where
Huge.
she has to reflect on, should she do something that's right for herself at the risk of everyone else? And what a hard thing to have to handle. I'm really looking forward to learning more about that.
Yes, she is faced with one of those situations, the greater good or my personal, and she's got so much writing on her at that moment, so many people that she loves, innocent people, but you know, there is a greater good, and to have to either find a way around or choose between that. Yeah, again, I can't give too much away, it's a big spoiler, but
it definitely
really tricky.
Is a fascinating read. Excited to dig into it and find out how Agnes tackles this next part of her life. This is a series, it's only book 2. How many more are coming?
There are 5 books total, and the lovely thing about it is each book reads as a standalone. So if you do just pick up Second Earth without having read First Earth, it will make sense. It will be a story incomplete in itself, and so a lot of people like that.
Where can you get the second book, Second Earth?
It's on Amazon. If you just Google it, Second Earth by Cami Murdock Jensen, it will come up. It's an Apple bookstore right now. It's available paperback, hardback, and ebook, and we are working on audiobooks, but it takes a long time to read a whole novel. So.
Well, and people are gobbling up these novels. Book 3, when do you think that'll be coming out? I know I'm jumping ahead, but people are going to want to know.
Book 3, let's see. We are aiming for late May, early June, somewhere in there. A lot of it just depends on my amazing editor and how quickly he can get through it.
So you have this whole series ready to go. It's just, takes time to get them out there.
It does. It takes a little bit of time. Between my artist doing the cover art and my editor trying to make everything look amazing, it does take a little bit of time.
Well, Rachael, how are you doing today? I've really overcome so much, as I mentioned. How are things for you now?
Well, right now I'm doing a service mission for the LDS Church, and I'm in a really good place. Worked hard to get where I'm at, so.
Well, I'm really, again, impressed that you're here, sharing your story, how you work together through some really dark days, I'm sure, to produce something that really so many people can benefit from. So thank you, both of you, for being here today.
Well, thank you.
All right, you want to find out more about the Arch Mage series? This new book is Second Earth. You also want to read First Earth as well. Thanks again to author Cami Murdock Jensen and her daughter Rachael for being here today. We have more coming up on Mountain Connections right after this.